Full-time MMA?
MMA.
Nothing
Yeah.
else?
My life, man, yeah.
Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and hook your boy up with a like if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, because you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Holy flying flipping flapjack, he's back. Carlos Condit is scheduled to return to action versus Neil Magny at UFC 219. We've also got Dominic Cruz versus Jimmy Rivera on that card. Holy shit. I would watch. It doesn't matter what the rest of that card is, and it's a must-watch card. But we already know they're going to keep stacking the deck. That's December 30th, UFC 219 in Las Vegas. Plus, with, you know, the recent tragedy that just happened in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas being the home of the UFC, and that being their next big, huge card for Las Vegas, you know they're going to do something special, which could mean Conor McGregor's coming to this card, which is very likely, because he did say on one condition he would come to this fight, and that's if he had to do no media. All he had to do was show up and fight. He would do it. But we don't know if the UFC, if he's going to change. Maybe he'll lighten up. Maybe the UFC don't want him to do, who knows. But I'm thinking if Conor McGregor is really offering to fight December 30th, fucking the UFC is going to make it happen. But whether Conor McGregor fights or not, you know, that's just for pay-per-view numbers and casual fans' sake. Who really gives a fuck? Jimmy Rivera's fighting Dominic Cruz. Neil Magny's fighting Carlos Condit on this card. Carlos Condit was going to retire, but it was just a brass decision after his last loss to Damian Maia. He got caught in the first round, submission loss, and he retired in the octagon. Like, man, I don't know if I wanted to, but we've seen that happen so many times over the years with fighters. I mean, a retirement in MMA, you know, is, especially after a loss like that, they don't really last. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's great to see that this one didn't last for sure. Carlos Condit's a fucking beast. He's fought the best of the best. Nick Diaz, Nick Diaz, Johnny Hendricks, George St. Pierre, Robbie Lawler, Dan Hardy, a young Rory McDonald. You get the fucking point. He's literally fought the best of the best, Carlos Condit. I mean, one thing I will say is, if you were to say Carlos Condit's is like weak point, like looked at his stats and all of his like last 10 fights, usually he definitely wins the striking exchange. Carlos Condit's a beast. He fucks people up. Nasty, some of the nastiest combos you'll see. I mean, when he dropped George St. Pierre, that was crazy, because it was like George St. Pierre like completely defended the two punches, the combo, and then he threw that fucking head kick that just George St. Pierre just clipped him. It was fucking crazy. I mean, I was just watching, whenever this fight got announced, I was watching some of his highlights and shit. Carlos Condit's a motherfucking beast. But the thing about him is when he gets taken, he's got a susceptibility to get taken down and grinded out. People are gonna try and wrestle fuck Carlos Condit. And that's when he can, you know, lose. That's when he can lose a decision, or a split decision, or a unanimous decision, or whenever he has troubles, whenever people try to, I mean, that's just, you know, his weak point. And I don't mean weak point as fucking he's weak at it. I'm just saying that's usually how people try to beat him. The thing about Neil Magny is he's not really known as a wrestle fucker. So this is a solid matchup for Carlos Condit's return. I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. If Neil Magny wins this fight, it'll be great for Neil Magny, because he just lost, you know, pretty quickly to Rafael Dos Anjos. So I believe he's, what, 1-2 in his last 3 fights, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. I mean, he has, before that he was 10-1 in his last 11. But, you know, what have you done for me lately? That's how this business works. He's 1-2 in his last 3 fights, and one of those losses was to Lorenz Larkin, a first-round knockout, who went to Bellator. So that's really not a good look for Neil Magny. Winning his last 3 fights was against Johnny Hendricks, who, I mean, you're going to see a lot of people say that, and Johnny Hendricks still took him down 6 times in that fight, Neil Magny. So, I mean, Neil Magny's susceptible to takedowns like Carlos Condit, but so that's why this is most likely going to be a striking battle. I mean, the only thing really Carlos Condit really has to worry here, in my mind, is Neil Magny's reach. He's got, you know, an 80-inch reach. He usually got reach over everybody he fights. But Carlos Condit's experienced enough. He's had time to recover. I'm sure his head's going to be in the game. I'm sure he's going to train hard as fuck, because this is going to be a big card. He's fought more experienced opponents than Neil Magny. Not only does he have more experience, his opponents like literally are a who's who list of MMA. The welterweight division: Tyron Woodley, Thiago Alves, Carlos Condit, Damian Maia, Martin Kampmann, Johnny Hendricks, George St. Pierre, Nick Diaz, Dan Hardy, Rory McDonald, Jake Ellenberger, Dong Hyun Kim. Come on, come the fuck on. Now let's do the same thing for Neil Magny. Rafael Dos Anjos, Johnny Hendricks. There's the two former champions, and then we go to Lorenz Larkin, Hector Lombard, Kelvin Gastelum, which was cool. Eric Silva, cool. Damian Maia lost, which was cool. But still, Hung Gyun Lim, Kichi Kichi Kunimoto, William Macario, Alex Garcia, Rodrigo de Lima, you know what I'm saying, Gassan. You get the fucking point. Carlos Condit's that dude. So, I mean, even though Neil Magny is a beast and a force to be reckoned with, he's going to have to train really hard for this fight. I don't really see Neil Magny getting the job done here, but who fucking knows? Don't underestimate Neil Magny. He's got that reach advantage. Carlos Condit might have a little bit of ring rust. Who knows if his head's in the game? So it is what it is, man. Neil Magny's most likely going to be the underdog. It's great to see Carlos Condit come back, and it's a great style matchup. I would have kind of been pissed if Carlos Condit had to come back versus somebody that was going to try and like wrestle fuck him, like a Colby Covington. Ugh. Could you imagine Carlos Condit's return fight versus like Colby Covington? Fuck out of here. It is what it is, man. I'm off of work. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments. I'm out. It's hard to explain puns to kleptomaniacs. They always take things literally.
Bye, Felicia.